What's up guys, welcome back to the Sound Design channel. My name is LAR and today we're going to be making the bass from the last video shows. So this Massano style bass. It's also used by many of Afterlife artists and producers, as they do use similar bass lines. Nice and simple, groovy pattern and melody, and then a nice fat chunky sound that we're going to be using Serum to make the sound with. So this is the last video. As you might remember, we made this sound here. Okay, so if you missed that, check out the last video. Hopefully it's the last one that got posted. I'll try and put it up above somewhere. But this is the bass that we're going to make. Right, nice and groovy, so all together. And if I get rid of this, really nice fat chunky bass. Okay, cool. So as you can see, this is the here. I've just duplicated the channel. We're going to remake it below. There isn't much processing going on with this one. It's literally just sidechain, then a bit of EQ. But let's go in here. Cool. So the preset that we are working towards, or we're working from, I should say, is the BS Pulses preset in the Melodic Techno Academy. So if you have the Academy, you can just grab this preset. If not, it's linked down below along with loads of other great content in there. I did modify this a bit to make it a little bit more mono compatible. I took away some of the unison and things like that. So let's initialize this. So the first thing we need to do is we take a sub oscillator and then we're going to move this down an octave. The volume we're going to leave it, we're going to take it down a little bit, we'll take it to 60. So this is kind of a pulse width which sounds like this. Right, very a lot of harmonics in it because the synth is not being filtered, or the sound's not being filtered. So let's put the filter on, and we can actually put the filter on all of these. And we'll turn it on. Bit better. We will come back to the filter, but let's do these other ones first. So we're going to go to, on this one, I believe it's the mellow but unstable. A good name. And I think the wavetable position, we're going to go around here. We are going to modify this a little bit with something. I think we're going to use velocity, if I remember correctly. And then we're going to keep this in mono. We're going to keep the unison down on this one and leave this here. I also want to put the octave down on this. The phase, actually, we're going to bring it all the way over here. Alright, so we also want to add on this bend here, which will bend the waveform, as you can see. It sounds like this. It's very subtle. We're not really hearing too much of this because we can hear this sub oscillator, but we just listen to this. So you can hear it does change it very slightly, so it's a little fine detail. We will leave the rest of this for now. We'll just take this random phase down so it doesn't start the waveform in a different position. It will always be the same. It'd be more consistent. As you can see, so if I move this, it's changing the position where the waveform starts, which can change it quite drastically. Right, and if you have random phase on, then it will just randomly start anywhere, which can sometimes be fun, but not what we want. Okay, so let's move on. So oscillator B, we're also going to put this down an octave, so they're all very low down. And then this one is a vowel, and it's this native curse. I've never used this before in my life, but it sounds pretty interesting. It's a very wacky waveform. This one we're going to put the unison on, I think 6 voices, leave the detune there. The random phase, let me just check, I don't remember. We're going to be here. So a little bit of random, and then we leave that there. So we're getting that kind of digital sound that's being added to it. This we're also going to flip. So it flips the waveform, which is kind of strange. It's basically just keeping it the same if you do that, but that's how we had it on the original. It's slightly different here. In all honesty, I don't think that's overly important. It might have just been that they put that on to play around with it, but it's not really changing the sound much. Not that I can notice, but you can play around with that. So let's now add a little bit of drive. Yeah. And we're going to change this filter to the German low pass filter. This is very similar to the normal low pass filter, but it doesn't have this fatness drive here. It just has these normal parameters. I think we're going to take the resonance down, if I remember correctly. Nope, I have a little bit of resonance. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we need the stabbiness of the sound. So let's just bring the amp envelope, which is envelope 1, so this one here, and we're going to bring it down to here. Yeah, there's good. Bring the cutoff filter down a bit. I usually like to bring this down to where I'm just hearing like the fundamental, the real like sub of the sound. And then we're going to make another one that's a bit more plucky, a bit more release, a little bit of sustain. And then we add this on. So this envelope here is adding the upper harmonics with in a very plucky fashion, which gives it a nice like grit to the sound. Okay, cool. So at this point here, we have the majority of the sound. You could just call this a day and you got the sound pretty much there. But if you then want to go further and just add little things to try to make it more unique and things like that, that's what we're going to do with things like this LFO. So with this LFO, we're going to bring this all the way over to this side. We're going to take the BPM off, and we're going to put this on triplets, take this off, and it's just going to make this very quick, and then we're going to add that to the cutoff filter. So that would be very extreme, but a little bit of that. Really small amount. I've got 3% of it, but it's adding a little something something. There is another LFO on here. I don't remember whereabouts it goes. Let me just check. These little things. Oh yeah, onto here. I remember this. So this doesn't make much of a difference, but we're just going to put it on anyway. So let's just do that. So we put it onto the fine tune, and it's going to slightly move the fine tune. You hear with an extreme amount, you can really hear it. And what we can do is actually just put it on one side. Too much, and it's just detuned, but a little bit of that. So it's slightly detuning this waveform, or this oscillator, from the other two oscillators. It's already got quite a bit of detune and unison on, that's why you're not going to notice it too much. Okay, cool. So the other last little things are we're going to put some velocity on here. Always good. And we're going to put the key tracking on here as well. So the filter will track with the keys. So if I go higher up, let me just do this. The filter is reacting to that. You hear the sounds getting brighter as I'm moving up and down the keyboard. Cool, so we want this velocity to be down a little bit. This will just be the velocity, so if you hit harder, it will open up more. If you hit lighter, it will open up a lot less. A little bit less. There we go. So what you want is this envelope 2 modulation to come to around this marker here. You see the 12 o'clock marker, and the cutoff filter to be around here. Now we get that nice fatness. Okay, so let's go to the effects and add a little bit of distortion. So we're going to add this tube, bring the mix all the way over to here, bring the drive, we can leave the drive there, and then we can add this post, and we can add a bit of resonance. Yeah, nice. Little bit of chorus, bring the mix down, bring this low pass quite high up. So this chorus will only affect the higher part of the sound. You can add delay if you want. You don't really need to. You can if you want. One little trick you can do is you can have this side on 16 notes, leave that one on quarter notes. You can put the feedback quite high, and then bring this filter down. Put the ping pong on. So you get that kind of groove. That's what I'm hearing anyway. Okay, cool. The next thing is some compression. So these are kind of wacky settings that they put on the other one, which are interesting. It's like really pushing the sound. So put it onto this multiband, and then we're going to have a really loose compressor. So it's not really doing too much. Bring the ratio down open the attack up, open the release a little bit of gain, and then I think this is at 10. Listen to it now. Super heavy, distorted, too much. Turn it down a bit. But then we're also going to bring the mix down quite a lot. So we're adding this effect. Super like squash sound, which sounds pretty huge, but then we're going to take it down a little bit, tame it. Bring the volume back up. So it's compressing all these effects and everything, so it feels nice and fat, but it's not over the top. And then the last thing is a little bit of reverb. And this, again, you can choose to add this if you want. You might want the sound to be a bit drier with it being a bass. Bring the low cut up, you don't want too much of the low end. And just like that is good. Bring maybe a bit less decay. Yeah. One last thing to add is a low end boost. So we have the shelf here already set up. If we add the gain, and then we're going to bring this over a little bit. There we go. So now we're getting that big fat low end back. There we go. Alright, cool. So that is pretty much the sound. As I said before, the processing is just a sidechain compressor to the kick and then a bit of EQ. So let's have a listen to it with everything. Oh. This one might be a bit loud. Let's just turn it down a little bit. By the way, with mixing, with kick and bass, I tend to have the kick. Usually I'll use like span, and I'll try to have the kick like 3 dB, 4 dB louder than the bass. That way you'll have a nice punchy kick that will come through. It does kind of depend on the bass. Sometimes you want the bass to be a little bit louder, but that's usually a safe bet. So 2 or 3 dB quieter than the kick. Alright, cool. So that covers it for this sound, guys. I hope it was helpful. If it was, let us know in the comments. Please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of our videos. Catch you in the next one.